Whether you're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or just winding down, we are here to spill the hottest tea from your favorite Bravo shows. From the wildest reunions to the quietest social media unfollows, we cover it all. So welcome back to Reality TV Podcast and Clips. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it on 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we have to drop straight into Salt Lake City because the situation between Heather Gay and Meredith Marks has gone from just like passive-aggressive jabs to, well, it looks like all-out war.
It really does. This isn't just about a bad trip anymore. They are, on a fundamental level, trying to completely discredit each other's version of reality.
Exactly. It feels like they're living in two different dimensions. And this whole standoff, it's all revolving around the new cast member, Bronwyn Newport.
Right. The accusation that's on the table is so specific, and honestly, it's pretty damaging. Meredith Marks is claiming Bronwyn told her that Heather Gay made fun of her, of Bronwyn, for kissing a woman.
That's a huge allegation, especially for this group. It's designed to hit Heather right where she's built her brand, as this major ally to the community.
If that accusation sticks, it's a huge problem for her. But what I find so interesting is how Heather is pushing back. She didn't just say, no, I didn't. She's like dismantling Meredith's entire timeline.
With a very specific visual, too.
She did. Heather's whole point is that the behavior just doesn't match the story. She says Bronwyn was laughing and joking with Mary Cosby, and this is the best part, literally skipping to Meredith's room.
Skipping? I mean, come on.
Exactly. Her logic is if you'd just been deeply hurt and mocked, you're probably not skipping down a hallway full of joy.
It just completely undermines the emotional core of Meredith's story. And Heather also points out this huge hole in the narrative.
Oh, with the roommate?
Yeah, that Bronwyn apparently never said a word about this to her own roommate, Angie Katzenevas. Usually, if you're that upset, your roommate is the first person you tell.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But Heather takes it like a step further. She has this whole theory about why Meredith is even bringing this up. And she used a phrase that I think is just perfect. She called it Housewife Tradecraft 101.
Tradecraft. It sounds like something out of a spy movie, not a reality show.
It really does.
Oh.
But that's kind of what it is, right?
It is. In this context, tradecraft is all that behind-the-scenes manipulation. It's social espionage. Heather's theory is that Meredith called Bronwyn into her room not to be a friend, but to pump her for information.
To get some dirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To use her as an asset. And Heather thinks Meredith got caught, that Bronwyn sold her out, and now Meredith has to invent this story about the kiss to cover up her failed spy mission.
So the whole thing is just a smokescreen. Wow. That paints Meredith as incredibly calculated. But then, from Meredith's side, she feels like she's the one under attack.
Oh, completely. She is painting this picture of total isolation. She's on the record saying she's not speaking to most people on the cast right now.
And she feels bullied. She lifted all the things she feels like they were pushing her to admit to. Things she says are totally false.
Right. She listed them off. Alcoholism, pill popping, cheating on her husband. She sees this as a coordinated attack on her character.
Which explains why, when Heather recently said their friendship is over, Meredith was basically like, what friendship?
Her response was that Heather has been screeching at her for months, so there was nothing left to end in the first place.
And normally the reunion is where this stuff gets sorted out, but the reports from this one are just chaotic.
Meredith called it cathartic, which is a really weird word choice because she also said Andy Cohen actually walked off the set.
He walked off. Andy?
That's a huge deal. Think about what he's sat through over the years. For him to leave, the yelling must have been, just off the charts, unbearable.
But here's the twist. Heather claims that this whole Bronwyn issue, the skipping, the kiss, all of it, didn't even come up at the reunion.
Wait, what? So the central conflict of the end of the season wasn't even discussed on the main stage?
According to Heather, not a word. She's accusing Meredith of armchair quarterbacking.
Meaning she's fighting the battle in the press after the fact.
Exactly. Heather thinks Meredith lost the argument during the taping, so now she's trying to win it in the media.
That is just a whole other level of gameplay. Speaking of clearing things up, Heather also addressed some other rumors. People were saying Jen Shaw was spotted out at a grocery store.
Right, at Smith's Marketplace.
Yeah, and Heather just shut that down completely. Confirmed Jen is on house arrest with an ankle monitor. She physically cannot leave her house.
It's a good reality check for people. And on a lighter note, Heather's also playing casting director. She thinks Brittany Bateman should get a full-time snowflake.
Well, it's hard to argue with her logic.
Not at all. She said Brittany gave us Jared Osmond and a talking unicorn. In the reality TV world, a talking unicorn is basically a guaranteed contract.
It's solid gold. But Heather also talked about those rumors that she's a shadow producer on the show, that she's the one driving all the plot.
And she didn't exactly deny it.
Not really. She said she's flattered. She kind of chalks it up to being a theater camp kid deep down. She sees herself as a performer who knows what the job is.
That theater camp mindset is actually the perfect segue to our next topic, Lisa Rinna. Because if Heather is the theater kid, Rinna is the soap opera star who's trying to rewrite her entire history on Beverly Hills.
This is a huge shift for her. For years, her whole thing was own it. Now, in her new book, she's pointing fingers everywhere. She's claiming Kyle Richards and Lisa Vanderpump, LVP, molded her into the villain.
And she's using a very specific example, the whole Munchausen claim against Yolanda Hadid.
Which was such a massive controversial moment for that show. It was ugly.
It was, and Rinna was the one leading that charge. But now she's calling it dirty work she did, because LVP and Kyle told her to. She's framing herself as a henchwoman.
A henchwoman. That word choice is so specific. It completely removes her own agency from the situation. Like she was just a pawn.
And she's even bringing astrology into it.
Of course she is. Rinna's a Cancer, and she's saying she just mixes with Virgos like oil and water. And who are the Virgos?
LVP, Sutton Strack, and Camille Grammer. All of her biggest enemies.
It's a convenient explanation, but what's interesting is, for all this talk about being manipulated, she hasn't cut all the ties.
Right. She just had dinner at Cipriani with Kyle, Dorrit, and Erica Jane.
And she made sure to say it wasn't for the cameras, just friends. But it makes you wonder, if you were really used and turned into a villain by these people, are you really having a casual dinner with them?
It's complicated.
Yeah.
And that struggle to separate the villain role from her real self has followed her right over to her new show, The Traitors.
Oh, this thing with Colton Underwood was tough to watch. A fan on Threads called Colton a stalker, referencing his past, and Rinna just jumped right in.
But she didn't defend Colton. She just kind of doubled down on the accusation in a weird way. It was messy.
It was, because you're talking about a very serious real-world issue. Colton Underwood had a restraining order from Cassie Randolph that involved a tracking device and, harassing texts. That's real trauma.
So for Rinna to use that as like a snappy comeback in a game show context, it felt like it crossed a line.
A big one. The backlash was so fast, she had to put out a statement asking fans to be gentle and stop the death threats. But her excuse for her own actions was what got me. She said she was in housewife mode.
Housewife mode? What does that even mean?
It sounds like an on-off switch for accountability. She's basically saying there's a character she plays for TV that doesn't have the same moral compass as the real her. She even said that, in reality, she and Colton are great, and they text.
But the network had to release a statement condemning cyberbullying. It just shows you can't just flip that switch without consequences.
You really can't.
Yeah.
Speaking of consequences, let's switch gears to Summer House. Because we've been watching Kyle Cooke and Amanda Batula's relationship for years, and now Kyle is finally addressing all the financial rumors around their split.
Money has always been the elephant in the room for them.
Always. And Kyle's trying to get ahead of the story now. He admits there's debt. He mentions a small business loan. We know from the show he's had massive debt before, something like $4 million at one point. But he's insistent that this won't be a messy financial divorce.
He says they don't plan to let it get to that point.
Yeah.
But there's this old clip from 2023 that's been going around, and it feels like a prophecy now.
It's spooky how right Paige DeSorbo was.
She called it.
Yeah.
She predicted Amanda would leave Kyle in 5 years if he went all in on his DJ career.
And Sierra Miller added the really important context there. She said Amanda would get resentful because her own dreams, like her swimsuit line, got pushed aside so she could support Kyle's business, Loverboy.
And Kyle's reaction in that clip, seeing it now, is rough. He just says if Amanda leaves the company, he'll hire a new creative director.
Paige called him selfish to his face right then and there.
And she was right. He treated a potential breakup as a staffing problem, not a marriage crisis.
Yeah.
That really tells you everything you need to know about why they're in this spot.
It's a huge cautionary tale. But let's look at a couple that's handling a split with maybe a bit more maturity. MJ Javid and Tommy Fate from Shaw's and now The Valley.
Yeah, they're divorcing after 7 years.
And MJ was very quick to shut down any gossip. She made it clear nobody cheated. There was no big scandal. She used this metaphor that I thought was really beautiful. She said it just felt like the train was at the station.
That's such a calm, accepting way to put it. The journey is just over.
Exactly. It's not a crash. It's an arrival at the final stop. And you can see that in how they're handling it. They moved out, but they live in the same cul-de-sac to co-parent their son, Shams.
That's so practical.
Mm.
And MJ seems to be in a really good place. She was describing her new condo, all white with high ceilings, and said waking up alone makes her feel 19 years old again.
That's the part that stands out, feeling 19. It's about getting her own identity back after being part of a unit for so long. She's rediscovering herself.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, we have to talk about the thing that fuels this entire universe. The money. And we finally got some hard numbers from Mike the Situation Sorrentino from Jersey Shore.
And the numbers are just wild. It's the ultimate reality TV glow-up. He said in season 1, the cast made $25 an hour.
$25 an hour. That's it. To be a national phenomenon.
That's it. But, oh, how things changed. By season 6, he says they were making $179,000 per episode.
Get out of here. Per episode.
Plus a $500,000 ratings bonus. He thinks that between 2009 and 2012, he was making over $5 million a year. Something like $20 million total.
That is just staggering. But the obvious question is, where did it all go?
And he's very honest about it. He didn't invest it. He spent it. On the parties, the cars, the roller coaster lifestyle that fueled his addiction, he burned through almost all of it.
But he still gets royalties, right?
He does. And this is the smart part. He says he still gets six-figure checks every year because the show is always on somewhere. That's his safety net.
But what I found most telling was what he considers his biggest accomplishment. It wasn't the $20 million.
Not even close. He calls his 10-year sobriety his superpower. He says the fame and money just kind of happened to him, but his sobriety, his family, those are the things he had to really fight for.
That's a perspective you can only get after going through all that. It really grounds this whole deep dive, you know. We've gone from the tradecraft in Salt Lake City to Lisa Rinna's housewife mode to the hard financial facts from the situation.
And the common thread through all of it is this constant blurring of lines between what's real and what's a performance. You have Heather admitting she's a theater kid putting on a show.
You have Rinna claiming she was molded into a character by producers.
And you have Paige DeZorbo predicting a real-life divorce based on a career choice years in advance, like she's reading a script.
It makes you wonder what you're even watching half the time.
And that's the thought I want to leave you with. We always criticize these stars for being fake or produced. But if Rinna is right, and she's just playing a character, and if Heather's right, and it's all strategic tradecraft, at what point does the reality in reality TV just disappear? Are we just watching a group of improv actors who happen to have real families and mortgages? And if that's the case, who is really being played here, them or us?
Something to think about until the next episode. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.